Hey guys, how's it going? Clover back with another VOD review. This one is going to be a lesson in tempo control and how maintaining constant pressure can expose weaknesses, especially that of lower ranks. And by forcing out these mistakes, if you can capitalize off of them, it basically just allows you to win. Now, as you can tell, I am playing Wrecking Ball here, which is just going to be way easier for me to demonstrate and pull this off just due to his insane speed and disruption potential from grapple. But what I want you guys to make the connections with are some of the tricks I use that allows me to maintain this high intensity, increase my actions per minute, which is very important, kind of like stat, I guess. And so by understanding tempo control with this VOD here, I hope that you guys can make those, connections. I'll point them out as well, these tricks that allow you to do exactly that with other heroes. Now, just before we jump right into things, if you want to submit your own VOD for me to review in the future, you could do so by checking out my Discord server, linked down in the description, and there will be a place where you can send your replay codes and potentially get some free coaching if you so wish. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get down to business and do this VOD here. In this VOD, we won't be looking at team comps all too often. We're just going to be focusing on tempo control, the concept of it, and how you can increase your APMs, your actions per minute. But I feel like because this is still a Wrecking Ball VOD review, that I should, do my due diligence here and explain what's going on here. So setting up. Why does Wrecking Ball need a setup? Well, it comes down to two things. For one, it's more likely to give him a cleaner engage. And when he does engage, it's more likely for him to, get out of that and live through that engage. Rather than if I was coming from main, in contrast, I'm going to be rolling through here. And the entire enemy team is going to be looking at this direction, which, I mean, depending on the team comp, that might be okay. But considering what the enemy team is running, when they have Brig, which has whip shot, shield bash, on a sleep dart, then you've got Roadhog hook, and you could even consider Reinhardt hammer and Ash's coach gun as potential disruptions and CC options that, if you get caught out, could put you in these awkward positions. And especially when you're in these tight quarters, it's just not going to be fun as Wrecking Ball. So those are things that you have to consider. So going from main is kind of not an option because the entire enemy team can see what's going on and use all of their cooldowns trying to kill you. Whereas on the flank here, if I'm going like this, doing these short grapples, it means that the enemies might not even be able to react. Or if I come from the flank here, maybe some people will react to me, but it's only some and it's not the entire enemy team. And because it's less people than the entire 6 or 5, depending on Overwatch 2, this means that it's just going to be more likely for me to live through these types of interactions. So that's a point of why you want to set up on the flank. And that's actually what I just did there. That's another thing that kind of differentiates good ball players from like mediocre ones. Back to explaining mode, I mean, I was over here, do this quick grapple here, and using the rest of my fireball momentum, why don't I just set up again? I didn't lose a lot of resources. I didn't even use shields. So there's no point in me not trying to set up again. And this is one efficient way to increase, it's efficient pathing that allows me to increase my actions per minute because I roll right through. I mean, nothing comes of it, but then I set up right away. Instead of what I see a lot of Wrecking Ball players do is that they would like retreat back to a safer area, which their only options are to reset up on the flank, which is just inefficient pathing, or they feel pressured and have to do something and go through main, which, as mentioned before, when the entire enemy team can see what's going on, you're most likely to get punished and killed for it. I guess what you could do is, if you're over here, maybe grapple up to this point up there, or find some weird grapple angle here, this tip here, or here and this tip here. And those are potential grapple angles that you could use to swing up and like do this slam here. But I don't think that's going to be kind of awkward because I feel like you're just going to be swinging it up high in the air and the opponent is just going to see that, react, sleep dart you, and that's it. So I think it's a little too risky just because of the nature of this map design. So important note there. Now, this is where flanking from behind is really impactful because only the Ashe saw what was going on and tried to defend herself. Meanwhile, the rest of the team started pushing forward. So Ashe was left all alone and we got the pick because of it. Now with the pick advantage, we have tempo control just due to our due to the nature of having more resources, more people alive. And now we can just clean up the kills. Now, if you're paying attention, this is part of the tempo control that I'm trying to teach you guys. Now, if you notice, the Ashe used her coach gun. That means that she's like already out of spawn and she doesn't have her escape option. So with Wrecking Ball, what I can do is try and engage on her and go for the pick. I didn't see the Roadhog, but it's the idea that kind of counts. But what you will see is our Roadhog do the right play and push forward a little bit, and it's all good because you know what happened? He pushed forward, he got the kill on Roadhog, and he's able to walk away unscathed because he's got freaking vape, which is kind of dumb for Roadhog, but nonetheless, he's utilizing exactly what his kit is designed to do. So pushing up, trying to get these stagger picks, if you think of Overwatch having multiple objectives, where the main objective is this control point, right? Getting capture progress. If we get a kill, it takes at least 10 seconds for them to respawn, plus the additional time it takes for them to walk back to where the fight is actually taking place. So roughly 20 seconds gets added to our objective time if the team decides to regroup. So that's one thing you have to keep your eye out for players who overextend, who might not think that's like a huge error, but it actually is in the grand scheme of things because they're pushing forward. We have 5 of our guys attacking 2 of their guys, the Roadhog and their Ashe, right? So why don't we push up, get these stagger picks? Because the main objective, we get those picks, translates into capture progress in the main objective. So keep in mind of what's going on there. And then right away, you'll see another mistake that you see in these lower ranks. And by the way, this is diamond. This is not like gold or plat. This is diamond. So I think it's a fairly respectable rank and people are still doing these mistakes. So, I mean, these are the same tricks you would use in Masters or GM. They just have a better understanding of how to deal with tempo control. So diamond is kind of like the coup de grace. I don't think that's the right, you get my idea. But this is like just before people understand understand how to deal with tempo control. And these guys obviously are a little bit pea-brains because they're pushing forward when their Roadhog is still in spawn. So I go for engage, I force out the nade, I force out Moira's Fade, I force out the Dynamite. It means they don't have it to attack the rest of my team. And we get the Moira since she's exposed. Reinhardt thinks he's all safe pushing forward, but is actually split from the rest of his team. And yeah, clean up again. Just because they fought a 6v5 fight when the Roadhog wasn't present. And then we go and kill the Roadhog again. Get back to spawn. Easy as is. Alright, so now listen for this. That's huge. When someone in your team has the voice line of, they're announcing their ultimate, usually that means they want to use their ultimate in that fight. I did my voice line because I'm at 97% charge. I want to use my ultimate early. And the Sombra wants to use her ultimate early. So I guess we're going to combo those ultimates, which is a pretty good idea because comboing ultimates is really good with a setup ultimate and my minefield, which is a DPS ultimate. So what do we have to do here to increase the tempo? Well, we want to do it before the enemy team can react. As you can see, the enemy team has... Oh, okay, mouse. The enemy team has Nano Blade. If they really wanted to, and if they were ult tracking, they might position somewhere different instead of going to main. But what they also could do potentially is nano the Reinhardt so that the Reinhardt can walk in for free, be this huge threat presence, and possibly force off all my teammates from this like main space, which is very valuable. Or they could blade, like just naked blade. And the Genji could force a lot of enemies back because he's threatening with his blade. You probably wouldn't want to combo those two, but you possibly could if you really wanted to be hyper aggressive. But yeah, those are possible ways you can kind of take space using your ultimates, because I mean, Genji blade is probably going to get countered by hack or whatever. So that might have been probably the smartest thing to do as Genji in this situation. But on our side of things, we want to try and force our will and dictate how the fight starts by using our ultimates before they can even react. So using tab or my teammate's voice line, and then looking at the player outlines, the Sombra just walks right behind me, so I know she's about to EMP. I get prepared for it. EMP, minefield, and before they can even react to anything, before they can use even their basic cooldowns, we get these kills. Easy as is. And then we get down to the last 15 seconds. When they're respawning here, they're coming to a situation where they need to touch point in order to force overtime and give themselves an opportunity. But because they're spawning way back here, they still need like at least 10 seconds to get back to this position. So what is the smart thing to do in this situation? Well, it's to set up kind of on a forward position, which is actually a very good position considering we have cover on this side of things. We got cover here. We've also got cover here. I guess maybe you got cover where the stairs are on that side. So you got potential cover spots, which is giving us a positional advantage compared to the enemy team who has to push through here. All of us, our blue team, is looking in this direction, funneling all of our attention. This is almost like a choke point, honestly, as the enemy team wants to try and push up through main. So we're trying to become like a resistor. Even if we lose our life, if we're resisting them and basically preventing them from even touching the point, they have to touch the point in order to continue playing the game. So that's just value right there, because we got the main objective and we weren't really caring about the micro objectives as in kills. So that's just one thing you have to keep in mind here. So this is why we're taking this forward hold. And notice one thing, because I'm not in comms, I'm not able to communicate with my team, hey, let's push forward. I have to use visual information in order to do so. So this is how you take tempo control, but also in a smart way where you can guarantee success. I'm waiting, I'm scouting for the enemy team. Before I engage, I want to make sure my team's with me. I look, yes, they are. They're definitely with me in this forward hold. So what I want to do is commit, because if I just die here, there's a potential that they can touch point and with the player advantage eventually win. They do have ultimates too, so you have to keep that in mind. So this is actually a situation where if I die alone, they can actually win the fight and maybe even win the round. And we just lost our advantage there, our tempo control. So I want to make sure my team's with me. That way they're also committing and it's just not me being a threat. And the saddest thing you'll ever see is a nano blade just to use the double dash to touch point. Meanwhile, my engage forced out all these resources which they would like to have trying to contest the point. So it's a matter of just cleaning up. Just like that, we win. Easy as that. That is tempo control in a nutshell. So round one was pretty much the epitome of tempo control and a great demonstration of how you can, you know, keep this tempo control going. This point, you'll see the same thing, but you have to keep in mind that Mecha Base is not a map well suited for ball here. It's actually really good for these brawl comps, and as the enemy picks, is these brawl comps, which, funny enough, means that I can't really dive these guys. Like, they got Reinhardt, Zarya, Moira, and Hanzo, who are heroes that are very evasive. They have Fade, they have these crazy agility, so they can outmaneuver me, or they have Zarya Bubble, which are sustainable / can protect other enemies I try to dive, which means this is just not very fun to, you know, I don't have a dive target. And then meanwhile, they have Ana and Kree, which are kind of counters and potentially can kill me and punish me. So I'm going up against a bad comp. This is not like there's no Zenyatta for me to dive or anything like that. And also I'm in Mecha Base, which is better suited for these brawl comps. And this is why Wrecking Ball on his first engage is the most critical, because in the neutral fight, Wrecking Ball has the ability with adaptive shields and his disruption to force out cooldowns, give his team resource advantage, whether that being cooldowns or positionally. I'll try and boot people off high ground here, which is a very big thing in this type of map. When there's high grounds present, if you boot people off high ground, it means that you have a theoretical player advantage, because if you've got 5 enemies here and 1 person here, if I boot them off, right, so this guy just flies off point, now it's 6v5 up on top of here. Meanwhile, the Kree is just looking at a wall or has to take this weird angle, and he's all separated. And in a dive comp, we can probably actually just kill him instead. So those are why you want to force out cooldowns or resources like positionally. And the very first engage is the most important because this is when ults aren't present. Ult can turn fights just in of itself, but Wrecking Ball with his abilities allows him to force these resource advantages, makes them fight with caution and not necessarily confidence, which is something I like to describe as when the enemy team has confidence, it means that they have all their abilities and they can kind of dictate how they want to use their abilities, how they want to approach fights. So like with Lucio's speed boost, if I can somehow force that one out, I don't know why I'm picking that example. If I can somehow force out the Lucio speed boost, they don't have that engage tool for the Reinhardt, right? Or if I forced out Anna's nade, she doesn't have that anti-nade to try and punish someone. Instead is trying to use it to heal herself. So those are the ideal situations where I'm forcing out these cooldowns so that the enemy team doesn't have an option really. They kind of have to play passively because they have less resources. And if they try to aggress, we have more resources and we should be able to take these fights. That's the idea with this entire thing. So in terms of setup spots on this map, I feel like there's only one clear answer and it's going to be here. Some people like to set up here, but I don't really like it, especially if a Hanzo, Pharah, or DPS or any type of hero tries to contest you and poke you out. If you lose your adaptive shields, your ability to engage enemy teams safely, or you lose some health resources so that you're more susceptible to being punished, I think that's just overall a net negative because there's really nothing you can do. When you retreat back to here and you're in open sight lines for that time. So I don't really like it if you lose your ability to engage safely or you just die. Then you don't have your team's on the back foot, and now they have the tempo control, which is not what you want. So I'm setting up here, which is a safer position, more passive, and allows me to still scout to see where the enemy team's going, and by scouting, I can figure out what plan, where I'm going type thing. So I noticed that there's no Hog or Cassidy on the right side. So I do this grapple here, which is attempting to boop someone off. It doesn't work out, but that's the idea anyways. Going again, and this is kind of just dealing with Reinhardt 101, how to defeat Reinhardt comps. Reinhardt can really only shield one angle, right? So let's just, for purposes, that's his shield. He can only cover this angle from the Roadhog, maybe a bit of the Tracer, and maybe a bit of the Zenyatta over here. But our team is taking angles like this. Roadhog's over here, and as long as he maintains his hook, he is still a huge threat presence. We got Zen shooting over here. I'm rolling through, and Sombra's poking from behind. So this is how you defeat Reinhardt, because when his shield is not taking all the damage and blocking all the damage, it means that our damage is getting through to the backliners who the Ana needs to try and heal up. The Moira might have to use Orb and try in order to try and heal herself up. And this is where all of our damage is connecting, and their damage is like, they're kind of just scattered because they want to take these fights up close with Reinhardt and all that sort of stuff. Just how you defeat Reinhardt comps if you're not a Reinhardt comp, like if you're a flank, like dive or poke orientated, you want to just take multiple angles against Reinhardt because there's nothing he can really do. And as such, we do win out the fight just as that. So this is like partly our team play, just how our team was playing. And it really does help knowing that we have two flankers in a ball comp, which is really awesome. Instead of me having a soldier and a Cassidy, it means that I can have duels and have other flankers who kind of want to do the similar things as me. And that's just called synergy with your comp. That's why synergy is important. Now, actions per minute. We want to go for this Hanzo because he's going to stagger himself. He's feeding. Why not just kill him? Looking for more opportunities. I see the Cassidy. I almost said Creed. Going for the kill, but I couldn't get it. But it's the idea. Again, you always want to try and look for the next window of opportunity. If we get that stagger kill on Cassidy, it means the team has to full regroup or they fight 6v5, right? And we have the player advantage. So it's just overall a net positive for us to just keep looking for these opportunities. But we're never overextending. We're never going in over here. I think the Tracer overextends a bit. I mean, she got domed by an Ashe, so there's nothing you can really do. It's a one-shot kill. But we're never, at least I'm never, trying to overextend, because if I overextend and actually get punished, then again, we lose me. We don't have an opportunity to, take tempo control. And in this map, I would probably have to switch, just the nature of these chokes. Like, again, this is a comp that I should not have success with, but it's just how we take these engagements and winning based off the first fight. All right, no one's coming down there, so I'm just going to wait for someone to pass choke. It's only Zarya, which is really good, so I use my fireball to boop her in. We kill her, and then this EMP here is just going to be a tempo ultimate where we just commit and finish everyone off. Imagine if I got that slam, that would have been juicy, but I didn't. Now, the rest of my team went for play of the game using their ults, the pulse bomb, and the whole hog. Meanwhile, I was smart enough to not use my minefield because I saw that the EMP was enough. We had player advantage and we used EMP. We should be able to clean this up, but my team decides to use the rest of their ultimates. If I use my ultimate, we lose our ability to maintain this high intensity tempo control. If I lose my minefield, like they have coalescence, they have nano, it's their turn to take tempo control, but because I have my minefield, I'm able to maintain this constant pressure. The reason why I'm not including Rally or Zen Transcendence in this is that they're reactive ultimates, and so they're not necessarily used to increase the tempo and force the opponents to react or force out something from the opponent's side. It's used to react to what the opponents are doing, more or less. And that's the same thing with like beat or whatever. You can technically take tempo with Rally, beat, or Transcendence, but it's not ideal. It's not their best case, especially in this type of comp where we would like to use it reactively. But now the opponents with their ultimates, it's kind of their turn, and you'll see why. When the opponents want to take their turn, so right here, I'm just trying to look for them to cross choke again, like the Zarya, but use my minefields to split them off. That way we can secure one player advantage. That's the idea with my minefield. But what happens here is as I go for this engage, the Coalescence comes out, and Coalescence or any type of support ultimate, that being like Rally, Transcendence, Drop the Beat, something that increases their survivability, there's no point in me using my minefield because my minefield only does 130 damage. It's not an insta-kill ability, which means the Moira can not only heal it up if someone does take a minefield to the face, it also means that the Moira can destroy my mines and my mines get 0 value. So that's just important here. Interaction here with Wrecking Ball is just knowing that my minefields don't do anything here, so it's best for me to just have patience, disengage here, which I opt to do. And while I wait it out, I'm looking for my opportunity. You see the Hanzo, the Zarya, and the Roadhog kind of split off from the rest of her team. So I'm going for it in this engage. I do get trapped, which is whatever, I die. But I still use my minefield, which gets a bunch of value, securing 2 picks, which separates them from their Ana and their Moira, who were stuck back at choke. Like, very simple. Very simple stuff. Doesn't take a whole lot of brain. It takes just like an awareness of what's going on and the timing of when you use certain abilities. Now we're coming up to this like overtime push. They're forced to touch point. See the Junkrat splits off. And now it's just about simple target priority. Moira uses Fade, kill her. Can't kill the Roadhog, so my next best opportunity or target priority is to go for this Ana, because if she focuses on me, that means she's not healing her team. And if she's not focused on me, that means I could just kill her. So it's a win-win for us. And that's all she wrote. That's just the cumulative effect of tempo control and how the enemy team never really had a chance to do anything. They never had room to breathe. And that's the point of tempo control, and that's how effective it can be. I think this is a good demonstration of how effective it can be. You will have teammates that, you know, like if I had a Kree or Soldier, like I mentioned, I might not be able to take as high of a tempo because they're shooting from like main and they're not taking aggressive angles, which I kind of require to like maintain this high tempo and, you know, find these picks. We had 2 flankers, which really helped. So it comes down to like team comp and also how aggressive your team wants to play. But there are ways that you can still maintain this high intensity, even if initially you can't take tempo control like I can with Wrecking Ball. So things like, let me just get to here. No, I think it's further back. Okay, they're right here. So if I wasn't Wrecking Ball here and I was Sigma, I recognize this. I want to push up a little bit more as we're cleaning up the team fight here. I want to push up a little bit more. Why don't I set up my shield and let's just throw some of those, I don't know, sphere things, the gravity spheres, black hole spheres, and try and get these pick. Even if we don't, we're still at least farming alt charge, so there's some benefit to it. But you're just trying to find these picks, stagger them, and that all just comes to the main objective in increasing your control percentage on the point. So this Roadhog here actually, like, perfect example of what I'm talking about. The Roadhog he's not overextending because he's got his vape to escape, and he's got his vape. Yeah, I just mentioned that. He's got his vape to escape, and he just hooks the Roadhog, secures that pick, and now they're staggered. And that's just taking advantage of the fact that these guys pushed up a little too far. If they were kind of stuck in spawn, then we just set up as normal, and we looked for another opportunity, and whether that's going to be ultimates or trying to do the same disruption play as positionally or through cooldowns using our big slam. So that's the idea. And it's just stuff like this where we use our ultimates. Nothing, I think if there's anything that you can take away from this video, it's going to be how you use your ultimates to dictate how fights start out and how you can, again, take this tempo control. Setting up here before the enemy team can react. Like most teams, it depends on the comp, obviously, but a lot of teams I feel like would set up over here with a Reinhardt. Maybe they got their Ana in the back, and it's a very stable position. But when you have ultimates and you can just kind of push the aggression, it's always better to push up a little bit further ahead, knowing that you have ultimates to turn the tide of a fight, right? We're not doing this in the neutral game. We're doing this when the enemies can't really react to anything, especially with EMP, the highest win rate ultimate. So we want to take the tempo to them. And if we're set up back here, the opposing team, I mixed up the colors, but the opposing team now has this high ground that they can set up on. The Reinhardt can go here. They've also got cover. So we just don't want to give them this space for free. That we would give that space for free if we know that they have the ultimates and it's kind of their turn to take tempo. That's what happened with the Moira coalescence there. That's the enemy team saying it's our turn. So what my response was to back away, because I'm just giving them their turn, and we're just absorbing their aggression and waiting things out, trying to be patient. Once it wound down, I was just saying my turn, use the minefield, split the enemy team off. Mine got more value, and we got some picks. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this topic. If you want to see more like this, I'm going to be posting more on this channel. Any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And of course, if you want to submit your own VODs for me to review in the future, you could do so by checking out my Discord server, link down in the description. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace out.